Okay, welcome everybody to the Rick Helps Real Estate Show. I'm Jessica. We've got Pat McMasters, aka McMortgage, with us today, and Jacqueline Smith. How are you guys?
Doing
Only
good.
call me Jacqueline if you're mad at me.
I didn't know this. Now I
That's okay.
know this.
Well, and I probably shouldn't put it in there. I heard the Rick music and I was like expected to see his face there.
Oh, I
Yeah, I
know.
know. Should we preface this by telling what's going on with Rick, or?
Yeah, so as everybody knows, we've all missed Rick a couple weeks now. He did a big ordeal last week on Thursday. He's in recovery, taking his time to do some rehab, and as soon as he can get back on the screen, we all miss him, right? We're gonna do our
Yep.
best though to get some data out there and inform all of our millions and millions of subscribers.
We are going to try our best. I mean, based on our pre-conversation before we went live, I think we should change this from Rick helps to Jessica, Jackie, and Pat need help.
I was going to say the same thing.
Because Rick helps, but he needs helping.
We
God
need
love him.
help.
Hope he's doing well. But I think we should change the show to something else. If this doesn't go that well, we're
We
trying our
need Rick
best.
back to help us.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like the Charles Kuralt of real estate news.
Well,
So we're trying our best, people. Hang with us.
Yes. There is hope. If there's a will, there's a way, right? Well, I want to get into a little bit of data. So I have a fun chart, our Cromford report. This is our Arizona local Cromford report index. We had a little tick down on week, what are we in, week 9? Yep, week 9 this week. So it'll be interesting to see what our inventory does here, especially with the new news. We've got, let's talk about news. Pat, we just talked about this earlier. So the news that we get on a daily basis, we don't know whether it's going to be a kidnapping or a blown up car in Puerto Vallarta, or apparently we're at war now, right, with Iran. Each day is a little bit different news.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons. I mean, you and I were talking about, I think there's a lot of reasons for people to pull back and say, oh my God, there's a lot going on with the world. But, based on the stats that, you guys have been seeing and what I've been seeing in terms of the Cromford report, I mean, it's just same old with real estate. But the problem is, I mean, there's a lot of news out there that I think will cause people to pause sometimes when there's so much uncertainty. I mean, with this president, from one weekend to another, you don't know what the hell's going to happen.
Keep
5
us on
weeks
our
ago, we
edge.
talked about the Nancy Guthrie, kidnapping, and now that's like you don't hear anything about that. And then a week and a half ago, the cartel's getting blown to smithereens. Now, this last week, it's Iran. I mean, I see it as the last 30 years I've been in the finance world, 35, 36, 37 years. There's always news somewhere to give you a reason not to do something. So I hope that people stay, if they're looking to do something, whether it's buy or sell, or just wait till their position gets better, don't get distracted by all the news that's out there, because you can drive yourself nuts.
That's for sure.
Do you remember a couple of weeks ago, I said the biggest thing I was hoping for was stability? Yeah. That just went out the window.
Although our numbers do have stability, speaking of which, and I think that's so active listings came out on week 9. We're at 25,502. So instead of that gap starting to close together a little bit, and we have lots of positive trends in both mortgage rates as well as our local real estate market here. We've got listings up, we've got pending listings up, listings under contract up. Sales per month, price per square foot up. Jackie, are you seeing, your activity? What are you guys seeing over there on the west side right now?
It really depends on where you're at. There's some areas, it's weird. There's some areas that I think, I've got a Buckeye listing and, oh my God, what am I going to do to have to sell this thing? And suddenly I've got it sold. And then I had a Levine listing that I thought is going to sit on the market for a while, but all of our listings, we're trying to price them aggressively, right below market. And then a lot of times I find if you price right below market, you're not getting hit with all those concessions because the other agents, the buyer agents, think, okay, there is going to be competition on this one because it's priced so well. So I always try to explain to my people, let's price, a couple thousand below and you might save 10,000 in concessions. And I'm seeing that happen. So, but then I've got some listings that are I've got one up here in Peoria that I thought for sure would sell right away. And we're doing a $25,000 price reduction on it today. So,
yeah, it was National Association of Realtors I'd read earlier in the week and listened to a podcast that the national home sales, is actually up for February. We had all the East Coast there. I think there were 30 states affected by snowstorms, and that took a lot of national data market trend down to lower sales than expected. But back in, this is an old chart, but officially the National Association of Realtors has said that sales are back up for February as expected for our seasonal trends, which is good news. And then we've got also take things off. Here's our bloopers. Here we go. They're starting.
That's okay. You're doing great, Jessica.
And Pat's trying to teach me how to use the tool where us old people can read
the
better.
Magnifier.
Yeah, the magnifier. But I don't know if you guys can see this. So as far as March 5th, our local Cromford report, we had 5 still closed transactions are up from last month. We have new home sales aren't doing as well as they were in 2025. So that's pretty much what we've been experiencing coming into this year is more resale market trends. So those of you out there on the resale market have a better opportunity to show and sell your home than the competition that we've had in the recent years with new home construction. So that's kind of a switch in the market, isn't it?
Hey, Jessica, I was going to say with the new homes, at least this is what I'm noticing. So at the end of last year, especially like around October where their year ending is, I saw tons of deals. And then now it's like all day long, my phone was blowing up, even from the reps that I know, we've got 4% commissions we're giving $30,000, 3.99 permanent buy downs. I'm not hardly getting any of that now.
It's settled back in, as you said,
Yeah.
kind of to reconnect to the market's very, it's very settled in the sense of the housing industry, both locally as well as nationally. So those are all optimistic numbers. And then Pat, we've got rates at still fairly all time. What's happened over the last week? I know we've had some numbers come out in the financial news. How did that affect the bonds? Where are we at with the mortgage industry right now?
I mean, basically, flip my screen if you can get my screen. There we go. I mean, we saw here's the activity on the 5% coupon. These are prices, so their prices and rates are inversely related. This is basically February. On Friday, we saw the rates hit 5.99, high fives, but then come obviously the next week, the weekend, we had the Iran situation, so it brought rates of kind of skirted up a little bit from 5.99. If you look at it right now, I mean, our best, the scenario that I used, the $475,000 purchase with 5% down, 780 credit score. If you look at it, I mean, last week, if I could pull this magnifying glass up again here, last week, 5.99 was probably at about a $1,300 cost. Now it's a $3,100 cost. So now you're seeing 6% is about a $1,300 cost. Everybody's saying, rates are, you'll see the news, rates have gone up. They've gone up from about 5.99 to about 6 1/8, 6 1/4 range, probably eighth, a little bit under a quarter of a point. So, I mean, overall rates have been pretty stable. I mean, the thing of it is the market's trying to digest all this Iran news, and it's been kind of indifferent to the other economic news out there. We got the jobs report coming out tomorrow. So, but as much, just the average person will read a headline, say, rates are going up. The cost, you still get, 5.99. It's a little bit more cost, probably $1,500, $2,000 more cost. That's your intraday movements. So we haven't seen anything that drastic on the rate standpoint. So, based on the fact that we saw going back here, we started the last year at 7.25, 7.26. We're sitting around, right today, 6.125. So overall, rates have been, they screwed up a little bit, but is it anything to say I can't buy a house now? Because not much has changed the last week overall.
Mm-hmm.
About $40, $50, $60 a month difference. Maybe it has some of a difference when people are right on the borderline in terms of getting qualified. But I think it just overall, looking back, like you said earlier, the news cycle is short. We're going to always have these jittery moments. Things will eventually settle down. We've got the new Fed governor changing hands here in May. So I think there has been some progress on the fact that the Fed, Trump has said they're going to be buying 200 billion. There hasn't been a lot of activity on that end. I saw a report that there's been probably about 15 to 16 billion bought, but overall, I think that has kept rates relatively in a nice little tight little range. So,
well, Pat, even if you think about it, it's not a huge swing with everything. We had inflation come in hot. The unemployment numbers were good. And it's like, you would have thought anyways that the rates would have, and then, the Iran war, it's like, there's so much out there. And it was just like a hiccup. It wasn't that much of a jump. And then,
it just seems like the last 2 years, 3 years ago, if we had this news, we'd be seeing the bond market just going schizophrenic.
right.
It just seems like to me that the bond market has been digesting all this news the last 3-4 years. And it's kind of like, okay, whatever.
I feel like the bond market's smoking pot now. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, is it important? Yeah, day to day, obviously, when you get these little short gyrations in a week to week basis, you quote somebody 5.99, and all of a sudden you look like a horse's ass because now you're quoting 6.125, or basically the cost is going to go up a little bit. But once again, I think you read through the news. There's a lot of news out there. Could probably put some people on the sideline. Say, hey, I'm just going to wait till this blows over. In terms of buying a house, so if you've got, you're moving a family, you've got to do something. Things, like I said, looking at the Crawford report, I was on the webinar the other day. Things have been relatively stable in our local real estate market.
What I found interesting, I know Mesa hit the headlines, East Valley hit the headlines both nationally and here locally, with Mesa becoming a more popular city. And I work in the zip code, so I thought I gotta dive into this a little bit more. And I pulled up my 2 favorite zip codes in the area that I live in. And there hadn't been any new listings in either one of within like a 48-hour period. Everything had gone under contract. And this was
Really?
after reading the news. Yes, it was quite interesting. And it kind of goes back, Jacqueline, like you said, you never know. I know on the outskirts. So our Pinal County and Maricopa, Casa Grande, those areas are more saturated right now. But it makes sense that, especially now with gas prices going up in today's news, you're going to want to, if you can afford to live closer within the city limits, that trend is back again, versus our COVID trend where everybody was moving outwards and expanding, and they had to because there was no inventory. But that's why I guess I'm so excited about that inventory shift, that our active listings are coming down. We're not seeing it, and it's still more than last year by about maybe 1,500.
Yeah. We've got a client coming in, Anthony, Pat. He's coming in tomorrow. Oh gosh, I don't know if I should say people's names. Anyways, he's probably watching. Hi, Anthony. He's looking for something particular, but he literally said the only thing he's seeing is redigested listings from last year, and there's nothing new. And he's even he's widening his scope, and he's more open to not the workshop now, and maybe just the room for the workshop. And it's like, there's just nothing there. I even told him, well, let me go on and, because I've got him set up on searches. And I see him looking, but it's not very often because there's just not much coming through. I said, well, let me go on and I'll see if I can find anything, make sure something's not slipping through the cracks. There was nothing, hardly nothing at all. I couldn't believe it.
Well, there's an article, there's an article I pulled up. It says on CNBC. It says home sellers are relisting properties at the fastest pace of the decade, but spring supply is still low. So it says relistings hit the highest January figure since Redfin began tracking this metric a decade ago.
That totally fits. It's just redigested stuff from last year.
And that's going to become a boxing match between the buyers and the sellers. The sellers, if you're listing 2021 prices, these buyers are educated, they're informed, they've got more leverage now. By all means, now we're having a tick up, 1% appreciation finally. We had our low point of June of 2025. And now that we've got some appreciation, at least on the horizon, it looks like it. And that it's going to be a standoff between those sellers that are revisiting.
Yeah.
Jackie, real quickly, Jackie, to both of you ladies, since I have a lady crowd today.
Aw.
Are these, you think these relistings, are they relisting at the same price, or are they relisting at more of a realistic, maybe a discount? Do you have a chance?
The ones I'm seeing are coming. It's not like they're dramatically different, but they are coming on with price adjustments. But I think what happened was that the people that listed last year and were hopeful and didn't sell, they're just like, forget it. We're just out of the market. And the ones last year that listed that needed to sell, I think those are the ones that we're seeing come back. And they're being a little bit more aggressive, but not dramatic.
And the closing costs, I think that window is closing as well. Like the closing cost
concessions?
Contribution, we're seeing more price reduction easing and less contribution from sellers.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too.
Yep, you still ask for it, but at the end of the day, whether the like I say, that standoff, the boxing match of, I want this, no, I want this, and if you want to sell, you got to be creative, right? Creative financing.
That was contrary to Crawford report. Pull up my screen. I pulled up a screenshot, not to say point counterpoint, but they said the concessions still are around. If you see here, can't pull it up. I can't pull a magnifying, but this is 49%, 49.5%.
Well, they have 10,000. Is that 10,000?
Back in 25, it was 48%. February of 26, it's 49.5. Median concession is still, based on the Crawford report, percent of closings with seller paid concessions is still around 10,000.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it said here closings with seller paid concessions was 2,682 deals out of closings of 5,400. So about 50% of the people paid seller paid concessions still.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's deal by deal, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Every deal is
that's good. That's good. They're good to see both sides of it, buyers and sellers. So when you say houses back on the market, also the days on the market for homes is staying about the same as well. We're still mirroring 2025 at this point, but I think we're at it'll be interesting next week to see if that ticker starts to go back up, if it was just a little blip, or if we're going to start to see them kind of stable out and it changes the path. Oh wait, let's go back to that chart. Changes our path again. Are we going to keep this trend of going up and mimic 2020 or 2025, or are we gonna have a change again? Exciting. It's exciting.
Well, I hope personally that we get more inventory, that keeps growing.
Yeah, like you say, if it's stale inventory around, let's get new inventory in, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of like my Match.com.
Oh no! Wait, I thought you were out of the market right now.
Yeah, I am, but I'm just kidding. Well, look at this one chart though that Crawford report pulled up the other day. I mean, on their webinar. Go back to she was saying that the demand supply index. She said right here, here's the demand. pretty much the same as 2018 and 2013, 14. Our buyer demand. Pretty much the
And
same.
13, 14 wasn't that good.
Yeah. That was,
I was mostly working with investors then.
Can't believe it's hard to believe that was 12 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Well, we want to also remind you guys, of course, that our zip code market reports are still around. We've got a new spin on it, though. Pat, I've heard you and Rick have came up with a new fancy marketing tool. Yeah. So tell us about, okay, it's in the right or the left corner. I'm not sure which one.
It's up in the right-hand corner.
Okay, so don't forget to scan your zip code report.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty reasonable price, $15,000 a year annually.
Well worth it, though.
Well worth it.
Lots and lots of data.
We're trying to monetize it somehow since he's not feeling well. So we're trying to monetize his QR code.
Only 15,000. Only 15,000. That's great. Just kidding.
It's free. It's free. And then we got also just FYI, I do get requests for those property profiles. So if anybody's got, they want to see kind of a value, a breakdown. It's a 5, 6, 7 page report, very easily to read. If they can email Rick. I can send the address. He sends the address to me, and I send them the 5 to 6 page report. I know you guys have seen the report from House Canary. It's a pretty good report.
Yeah, it's nice.
So,
anything else that you guys feel like we need to say? Let everybody know what's going on in the market.
I think we hit it pretty good. We did better than I thought we were going to. I'm pretty proud of us. But we need Rick back.
All we know is we need Rick back. He's like
everybody send your prayers for Rick, because I believe in the power of prayer. I truly do. And I know he's going to be back with us soon.
Yep. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're trying to keep the train going down the tracks here.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today. Thanks for all the info. And Rick, we miss you. Hugs. And thanks for all of our followers for keeping up with us and checking us out as always. So don't forget to hit that QR code, like, subscribe, join, and we'll see you next week, hopefully. You guys have a great weekend.
Take care.
Okay, bye guys.